Adam Schiff coming out on camera numerous times saying, I can't tell you what I've seen, but I've seen things. There's a lot more than circumstantial evidence about this collusion.
But there is more than circumstantial evidence. There is circumstantial evidence of collusion.
The Russians offered help, which we know they did. The campaign accepted help, which we know they did.
And you got Hillary Clinton saying, an air of illegitimacy around Trump's victory because of this. I mean, she was very clear about it.
Last March, you said you had more than circumstantial evidence of treasonous collusion with Russia.
Certainly said that there's ample evidence of collusion. I think there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy.
The noose is tightening on Trump. It's all going to come out. He's an agent of Russia.
Joe Rogan tears into Adam Schiff with the kind of blunt honesty that Schiff has been trying to avoid for years. Schiff is the politician who thrives on fog, on confusion, on shadowy promises of evidence that never arrives. Joe Rogan sees straight through that thin act, calling him out for what he is, a career political hustler who has mistaken cable news airtime for actual credibility. Schiff is not a watchdog, not a leader, not even a skilled manipulator anymore. He's a tired salesman who keeps peddling a product no one wants except the gullible or the politically desperate.
They called him a Russian asset.
Listen, Adam Schiff, he was the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Adam Schiff knew. He never saw any evidence that Trump was in collusion with the Russians, or that the Russians were interfering in American elections, or that there may have been evidence of that, but there was no evidence that Russia and Trump were in collusion. And he kept saying it. He kept saying it on every news outlet he could. And he knew otherwise. And no one's held him to task for that.
Schiff built his reputation by waving carrots in front of the media, always claiming to have some smoking gun, some shocking revelation, only for those carrots to turn out to be rotting vegetables. Rogan doesn't let him run away from that. He points out how Schiff's whole political identity is a con built on endless suspense. He is the magician who never pulls the rabbit out of the hat, but keeps insisting that if everyone just buys another ticket and comes back tomorrow, the trick will definitely work. And the amazing part is some people still fall for it because Schiff is just slick enough to keep stringing them along.
Have you ever seen that video?
No.
Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorite.
That Mueller and congressional investigations also revealed that Don Jr. was informed that a Russian official was offering the Trump campaign, quote, very high-level and sensitive information, unquote, that would be incriminating if Hillary Clinton was part of, quote, Russia and its government support of Mr. Trump. You aware of that?
Sure, people get phone calls all the time from individuals who claim to have information like that.
Really, the son of a presidential candidate gets calls all the time from before in government offering dirt on their opponent? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think this is unique in your experience.
If you're enjoying this video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. The problem for Schiff is that Rogan has an audience that doesn't tolerate nonsense. Rogan's fans don't buy into trusting politicians blindly, especially ones who talk in riddles and never deliver proof. So when Rogan tears apart Schiff, he does it by exposing the laziness and cowardice under the polished surface. Schiff doesn't stand up and fight for people. He hides behind committees and leaks. He doesn't give leadership. He gives headlines. And Rogan shows it for what it really is, a parasitic political career feeding on gullible voters, and a media that loves a good cliffhanger.
Holy shit.
Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files.
And will you be able to review hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am asked to look at.
Of course you won't. So will you advise the president?
Can I answer the question?
Well, my question
I would have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want?
You'll be able to review.
I'm not going to mislead this body, nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask another question.
You were censured by Congress, Senator, for comments just like...
Think about how often Schiff has promised the big reveal. Again and again he walked onto talk shows and claimed he had evidence that would change everything. And every single time that evidence either didn't exist or was so weak it collapsed, under the weight of a sneeze. Joe Rogan cuts through the show, pointing out that Schiff is basically a cheap Netflix series that keeps getting renewed even though the plot has gone stale. He is still playing the same tune, still holding on to the same act, but the audience isn't buying it anymore.
Holy shit, Jamie, pull that video up.
As for this new FBI whistleblower report, I understand Kash Patel last night declassified a 302 FBI document showing that a whistleblower who is a Democrat, a career intelligence officer who worked for Democrats on the House Intel Committee for more than a decade, repeatedly warned the FBI in 2017 that then Rep. Adam Schiff had approved leaking classified information to smear then President Donald Trump over the Russiagate scandal. This is obviously a bombshell whistleblower report. Hopefully more people in this room will cover it as such.
Rogan's roast hurts because it is based in truth. Schiff doesn't just overpromise. He lives in a constant state of overpromising. He is like a compulsive gambler who swears the next hand will be the one. But every time he lays his cards down, it is the same pitiful fold. Rogan shows how that isn't just political drama. It is dangerous incompetence. Schiff wasted years keeping Americans hooked on an endless loop of guesses while ignoring real problems that needed attention. It was politics as performance art, and Schiff wasn't even good at it.
Now, this staff member began talking to the FBI in 2017 because he said he considered the leaks to be, quote, unethical, illegal, and treasonous. This is a Democrat staffer who is saying to the FBI he had a holy shit moment when he heard Adam Schiff give the order. These documents that outline the FBI's interview, like the FBI doesn't tape its interviews. They go back and they report what they heard in their interviews.
There's also the sheer arrogance Schiff carries. He walks around acting like his word is law, like his self-declared honesty makes him untouchable. But Joe Rogan doesn't bow to that. He mocks it and breaks it apart, showing how Schiff is not the wise elder statesman he imagines, but the kid in the group project who talks the loudest, contributes the least, and still demands to put his name first on the report. Schiff's entire brand is posing, not producing. And when Rogan digs into his record, it gets even uglier. He is like a cloud of smoke that never forms into anything solid. And Rogan's takedown highlights how pathetic that is. A politician who made noise his career instead of results. The roast hits hardest when Rogan frames Schiff as the opposite of what Americans actually need. People are tired of being lied to, tired of endless promises, tired of politicians who act like TV pundits, and Schiff embodies all of that.
I don't believe he's going to weaponize the DOJ to use it against his opponents. I believe that's what was done to him. Though, as we discussed with Alan Dershowitz in that now famous clip that went around where I said we need Steve Bannon, I'm not totally opposed to it. I'm going to be honest. Who would cry a tear if Adam Schiff actually got some sort of hassle thrown his way by the DOJ, assuming, I'm sure he's done something.
He is the polished, smug face of an establishment that thinks it can keep distracting voters with dramatic stories instead of solutions. Rogan's bluntness cuts that down to size. He points out that Schiff is the kind of guy who thrives in Washington, but would collapse in any real-world setting. Because outside the bubble of politics, people expect competence. The power of Rogan's destruction of Schiff is that it doesn't need exaggeration. Schiff has written his own roast with years of empty claims and dramatic hand-waving. Rogan shows how Schiff represents everything people hate about Washington. He is obsessed with looks, allergic to accountability, and unable to admit failure. He always paints himself as the moral guide, while being one of the most shameless players in the game. Rogan slices through that mask, mocking the self-righteousness Schiff uses to protect himself from criticism. The arrogance is laughable, and Rogan makes sure to show just how laughable it is.
Schiff stated the group would leak classified information which was derogatory to the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Schiff stated the information would be used to indict President Trump. The whistleblower stated this would be illegal. And upon hearing his concerns, unnamed members of the meeting reassured that they would not be caught leaking classified information.
But here's the part that makes the roast devastating. Rogan doesn't just stop at Schiff's past failures. He points out how Schiff is still running the same scam even now. Still promising, still playing coy, still chasing headlines instead of helping people. Schiff hasn't learned, hasn't grown, hasn't changed. He is stuck in a loop like a broken robot, repeating the same mistake again and again. Rogan makes it clear, and once you see it through that view, you can't unsee it. Schiff is not the bold leader he imagines. He is a cartoon of everything wrong with modern politics. And Rogan smashes that cartoon with merciless precision. The way Rogan puts it, Schiff has built his identity around being a hall monitor with tenure. Every crisis, every headline, Every investigation has to pass through him, as if the Republic will collapse without his sermons. It is exhausting. And Rogan makes it sound even more absurd. Schiff isn't saving democracy. He is saving his seat in Congress by pretending to be important.
I'm going to shock the world right now and defend Adam Schiff. In response to the heat he's getting for the following clip.
It is an existential threat, Senator, and also
Asleep.
I have not seen it yet, but from what I've heard about former FBI Director Ray,
Someone in the audience behind
comments on 60
Pam
Minutes regarding China
is videotaping Adam Schiff asleep.
In our own country, infiltrating our water systems, our natural gas lines.
I defend Adam Schiff because these confirmation hearings are boring.
That's the power of Rogan's roast. He reduces Schiff's whole persona down to theater. He points out that Schiff thrives on drama the way oxygen feeds fire. The moment the cameras are rolling, Schiff turns into this solemn figure of doom, warning about threats in the shadows. And yet, when you pull back the curtain, there is nothing there but recycled talking points and vague illusions. Rogan frames him as the horror movie director who keeps promising a jump scare that never comes, leaving the audience annoyed instead of scared. Rogan doesn't just touch on Schiff's failures in leadership, he destroys the whole act of him. Pretending to be a master strategist, the supposed genius is nothing more than a pile of mistakes hidden under endless press conferences. And the more Schiff holds on to this image of being the all-seeing prophet of corruption, the more Rogan leans into mocking the desperation behind it.
This staffer was interviewed by FBI agents on several occasions and told those agents that then Congressman Adam Schiff was the one who approved the leaks to the media. That it was Adam Schiff who approved the leaks to the media. FBI Director Kash Patel has released new documents on how classified information was leaked to the media and weaponized against Donald Trump during his first term as president.
Now he paints Schiff as a man who spends so much time building his brand as the truth teller that he forgot truth isn't supposed to need a PR campaign. If you have the facts, you show them. Schiff doesn't. He sells suspense like it's a Netflix series, but unlike Netflix, people can't cancel him halfway through. What makes the roast hurt even more is how Rogan ties Schiff's arrogance to the bigger frustration people feel about politics. Schiff is exactly the type of politician who says one thing with his eyes on the cameras, then does another behind closed doors. The gap isn't small, it's huge. Rogan calls him out as the guy who mistakes moral posing for actual results. Rogan also goes after Schiff's habit of acting like a victim. Every time someone challenges him, Schiff tries to spin it as an attack on democracy itself. Rogan laughs at this move as the same as a magician yelling, "Look over there," while messing up the trick. Schiff's career has turned into an endless cycle of blaming critics for hurting freedom. As if doubting him personally means betraying the Constitution, Rogan rips the self-importance out of that story and makes it look ridiculous.
So what's happened over the past 24 hours is Kash Patel has leaked documents that he has found, FBI interviews of a whistleblower who has identified himself as a longtime Democratic staffer. This is not a Republican operative, a Democratic staffer who was working in Democratic offices at the time of the alleged leaking in 16-17. This staffer was interviewed by FBI agents on several occasions and told those agents that then Congressman Adam Schiff was the one who approved the leaks to the media. That it was Adam Schiff.
Then there is Schiff's big ambition, the Senate. Rogan drives home that Schiff isn't running for higher office to serve people. He is running to upgrade his spotlight. Schiff wants the bigger stage, the wider audience, the chance to turn his dramatic speeches into primetime content. Rogan burns this ambition by comparing it to an actor desperate for a sequel. After failing the first movie, Schiff doesn't deserve a promotion. He deserves a retirement. What makes Rogan's destruction of Schiff final is how he mixes mockery with clear truth. It is the kind of takedown that lasts, because once you see Schiff through Rogan's view, it's impossible to unsee. And that is where the sting of Joe Rogan's roast lands with brutal precision. He exposes Adam Schiff as the perfect example of a politician who has confused persistence with real credibility.
President Biden pardoned Adam Schiff at the end of his term, but unlike the one he gave to Hunter, it was a limited pardon
It was.
And it only spoke to J6 and his work on the January 6th Select Committee. So it would not immunize him from any of the claims you and I are discussing right now, right?
That's correct. At least according to the legal experts I've talked to, he's only immunized for what he did related from January 6 forward to 2021. So
Schiff has spent years acting as if repeating a weak story again and again somehow makes it into solid fact. He seems to think that if he just keeps shouting the same lines long enough, people will forget to ask if any of it was real. But Rogan tears that fantasy apart with ease, showing that repetition without substance doesn't create authority. It only creates noise. And all Schiff has managed is to become the footnote people skip when flipping past political scandals. In the end, Schiff's brand of politics isn't about courage, clarity, or leadership. It is about holding on to relevance no matter how absurd the act looks. Rogan leaves him right where he belongs, a warning tale of political overreach.